Greetings. Welcome to my second passage presentation. Today we're going to be talking about Anne Bradstreet's A Letter to Her Husband, Absent Upon Public Employment. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the reading. This frontispiece to the left here, this is the 10th Muse. It's Bradstreet's most notable piece of poetry. I was not able to find if this poem was originally published in that work. I just love these old frontispieces. It's got a Brown University stamp on it. Thought it would look good next to the poem. Let's get to reading. My chilled limbs now lie forlorn. Return, return, sweet soul from Capricorn. In this dead time, alas, what can I more than view those fruits which through thy heat I bore? Which sweet contentment yield me for a space true living pictures of their father's face. O strange effect, now thou art southward gone, I weary grow, the tedious day so long. That's lines 11-18 if you're reading along. And here's my annotations I did for this. Like I've mentioned before in my previous presentation, I don't really like to write all over my books just so I can come back and actually read them. So I usually write my scrawled notes in the notebook that I read along with me. So I did have to define Capricorn. My knowledge of astrology isn't great. So just needed to find what exact definition Bradstreet was using in this case. I do believe she's referring to Capricorn, like the season. It mentions here the 21st of December. It's like the dead of winter, and that kind of reflects the cold tone of this poem. It's the dead of winter. She's alone with only her kids in this house. Husband's nowhere to be found. So I thought I'd talk a bit about who Bradstreet is as a woman because it figures into my question. She was raised Puritan, lived Puritan, married at 16, was married to the same man her whole life. She relocated from England to Massachusetts, landed in Salem, and lived all over the place. Her husband and father were both governors of the colony, and they were also sort of in the founding group, or the guys who founded Harvard University. A couple of her sons were alma maters there at the university. So she has a lot of ties in New England, 13 colonies. So, as with many poems from this vintage, it's always useful, poems written by women, it's always useful to look at it with a feminist lens, just kind of based on the emergence of proto-feminist ideas at that time, and, the milieu of the misogynistic society that they were living in. So, a lot of my research that I did for this presentation kind of suggested that this poem is a feminist work, and that's not something I necessarily agree with. I believe that this work is progressive in that it is a departure from the sort of traditionally held Christian values, and it's written in the 13 colonies. It's a departure from the old style of European poetry and the norms surrounding women. However, I don't think that is a decision by Bradstreet to sort of gain emancipation. I think it's a feature of her religion. And I sort of ascribe that to the paternalistic language that I see in this poem. Like, thy heat, for example, it's her children is not something that she did. It's not that great labor of childbirth and childbearing. It's through thy heat. It would have been impossible without the husband. And then the way that Bradstreet seems to invoke a sense of this woman as subservient and held to the husband. It's really like her whole life revolves around the preservation, consummation, and practice of this relationship, which to me doesn't really designate this work as feminist work. It really seems to play to the Puritan view of marriage, which dovetails into my question. I'm interested to see how you think of this work. Is it a proto-feminist piece, or is it a piece that just is playing to this religious doctrine? But yeah, looking forward to the discussion. I'm going to repost the question in Slack. And looking forward to chatting with you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.